It's about second, third derivatives of AI. I mean, I think the big thing is it's $2 trillion of AI capex next 3 years. And I think, look, that's numbers that are really, I believe, going to be in stone. And there's a multiplier. For every dollar spent on an NVIDIA chip, there's an $8 to $10 multiplier across software and across the rest of tech and infrastructure. You think about the power, the utilities, nuclear energy, names like ACO and others. I mean, it just speaks to we're going into a new age. It's not just about big tech. I mean, to your point about small caps, I think the big sort of prove-it moment is the multiplier playing out. It's the rest of tech, the rest of utilities, the rest of the market participating in this AI trend. That's really, if you think about that party, the only ones let in behind the velvet ropes have been that Mag 7.
NVIDIA has been selling the picks and shovels. They've made a fortune. We've seen all the growth. Does Microsoft and Google and the like that have been spending all that money need to show some gold this year in a big way?
Yeah, and I think that'll start this quarter. I think you're going to see an inflection point in the hyperscalers for Microsoft, for Amazon, for Google, in terms of what we see with more and more of those cloud workloads now showing up. And I think it's all about use cases. That's why you look at the Messi of AI, Palantir, you know, in terms of what they've done. That's just the first piece. Salesforce has been another. Software now starts to actually participate in this AI revolution. That's going to be a key theme across 2025. Remember, with Khan done at the FTC, M&A is going to massively accelerate. And that's another theme we're going to be seeing across tech.
What we saw at the end of last year was a lot of these other companies, sort of the side effects of AI or the actual applications. We saw them take a pause in the applications of AI and really study exactly the use cases, study the most efficient way to do it. They stopped deploying as much cash. What makes you think that they can apply some of the AI technology quickly enough to keep delivering the kinds of expansion and gains in the hyperscalers to keep a 20-25% return that you're expecting in 2025?
Yeah, it's a great point. Look, that's all the work we do. I mean, we look at, when we talk to enterprise around the world and all the travel we do in Asia, it's showing that these use cases, they're exploding for the enterprise. So as the ROI starts to continue to increase, that's why you're starting to see, you saw Palantir starting in Salesforce, you're going to see Mongo, Snowflake, and others. You're going to see it spread across the board on enterprise. But again, like the ships left the port. In other words, the AI CapEx is going to be there. Now 2025 is going to be about showing it, proving it in numbers. And that's why the reason we think tech stocks are going to be up 25%, it's not just about big tech. It's about the rest of tech participating, software, infrastructure. And look, I always say, like, haters hate. The last few years, that's sort of been, what we've seen in tech. They will continue to sort of fire in a crowd theater type situations, but I think tech continues to move higher.
How predicated is this theory on the idea that there can be some sort of expansion of the H-1B visas, that there can be an ongoing increase in employees and top talent to the United States?
For the first time in 30 years, the U.S. is ahead of China. I mean, in my perspective, from when it comes to tech. But to fuel that in terms of AI revolution, it's talent. And I think what we've seen, we've definitely seen a lack, I would say supply, demand. These companies more and more need to continue to fuel this with talent. So when you look what we're seeing with H-1B and ultimately as that all plays out, it will be something very, very important that plays out in Silicon Valley and across the tech world in 2025.
Elon Musk has been at the forefront of this debate, this argument over the holiday period. Let's talk about Tesla. Tesla an outlier in a pretty dreadful auto market, particularly for the European players. I think it was Stan Druckenmiller that once said, you'd be surprised by how few people understand what makes a stock go up or down.
Sure.
What makes Tesla go up or down? Because it sure as hell doesn't seem to be car sales. It seems to be something much bigger than...
And we're going to have deliveries probably in the next few hours, right, in terms of Q4. Look, I think this is an autonomous AI story for the next few years. And it goes back to the bet for the ages that Musk made on Trump continue, I think is going to really play out as the autonomous future. That's what you're betting on in Tesla. You don't see that in numbers today. But I think ultimately, I think that's worth $1 trillion more in terms of the AI autonomous story. But next few hours, this week, we'll be talking about deliveries. And it comes down to China deliveries, which were really a disaster at points in the last, call it 12 to 18 months. have now started to rebound for Tesla, and that's going to be very important.
What gives you the confidence that that will continue? Because there are some similar questions happening in the luxury space with companies like LVMH. Is China actually bottoming out for the consumer side of things? What gives you that confidence for 25?
It's what we see in terms of demand, in terms of what we see in terms of the overall China market for EVs. I think Tesla, I think a lot of those price cuts in the rearview mirror, we're going to have white knuckle moments, but ultimately I think China is something that could be up 20% when it comes to delivery for Tesla. And that's why I think right now it's one where I think where the bears have sort of misunderstood Tesla, it's 10 to 15% of delivery story now. It's 85, 90% AI autonomous in terms of the future for Musk and Tesla.
Sort of when you put together some of the things that you're talking about, you think for the first time in 30 years, the U.S. is actually ahead of China when it comes to development. At the same time, Tesla's dominance and success has hinged on its success 100%. In China. So how do you see the evolution in 2025 of the increasing divide, the increasing isolation between China's sort of tech stack and the United States' tech stack, and how those sort of both compete but also evolve in parallel?
Yeah, and it's a game of high-stakes poker, because the reality is that the reason Jensen's godfather of AI and what we've seen with NVIDIA, where the chips coming from China, coming from Asia. So that's why we're going to see this all play out with the China tariff discussions. I believe Musk is going to be heavily involved there. Cook, 10% politician, 90% CEO. Apple also plays a key role here. But I just believe that's something that ultimately it's not going to spoil the AI revolution trade. It's not going to spoil the chip trade. We will go through white knuckle moments, but my view, and it's been the playbook the last few years, you buy the winners on those opportunities. And I think that's going to be the theme this year.
Pick the winner of the year. Your number one stock pick for 25. What is it?
I think, to me, number one stock pick, I think continues to be NVIDIA here. And the reason is that there's only one game in town when it comes to AI. It's the godfather of AI, Jensen NVIDIA. Stocks obviously sold off. I think we sit here, them along with Apple will be the first ones in that exclusive $4 trillion market cap club. Well, I think that's important because, again, negative for the EV industry, positive for Tesla in terms of the scale and scope. But if you look, as they sort of do the sweep the leg on the EV tax credits, that's just going to give Tesla more and more of an advantage. But let's just be clear, that's the appetizer. I mean, the main event here, what we are focused on, the gold at the end of the rainbow, it's autonomous, the AI future. And I think that's where the light bulbs went off, because if you look at the Trump-Musk bromance, and as this all plays out, this is really going to be, I think, it's a poker move that I think will really be the bet for the ages when you look at Musk's bet on Trump.
The vibes are good, and it's hard to fight against them. I just got a message from a Bloomberg subscriber. I won't mention their name. I believe you know the individual, and we can talk about that in the commercial break. And this is what they say. Tesla has increased since the election by something like 700 billion in market cap, now 1.5 trillion. The business is not growing and hasn't in 2 years. Despite the hopes of full self-driving, it still doesn't work. So less regulation doesn't help it work. It's up another GM in market cap this morning, or better, the market cap of Waymo, which actually has working robo-taxis. My prediction for 25 is Tesla will lose over $1 trillion in market cap. What would you say back to that individual?
I'd say if that person was an NFL scout, they're probably negative on Tom Brady, come out of the 2000 draft, come out of Michigan. I mean, the point is look, despite all the Super Bowls, look, if you look, the Bears, they can't see AI in the spreadsheets. So when they're sitting there in hibernation mode, they don't understand this move. Autonomous is worth $1 trillion valuation to the Tesla story, and I believe now, as this all plays out, it's really just the start. I continue to view this as probably the best pure AI play out there.